Anna had worked with many species in her long career. She had cared for the crystalline young of the, who needed exact temperatures to survive. She had watched over the owl hatchlings, who communicated only through colors that shifted across their skin. She had even spent one difficult year tending to the gas-breathing larvae of the methane worlds. But nothing had prepared her for humans. They were known across the galaxy as the best caretakers. Their species had 4 ears that could hear sounds no other race could detect. They had 6 limbs that moved with perfect grace. They had 2 hearts that beat with natural empathy for all living things. The Galactic Council always called upon them when refugee children needed care. 3 standard cycles ago, the call had come. Earth was gone. The blue planet that humans called home had been destroyed by a cosmic event no one had predicted. Millions of humans had escaped on ships that scattered across the galaxy. Many of those ships carried children who had lost their parents in the chaos. Anna had been assigned to the refugee vessel called the Horizon. Her job was simple: care for 5 human cubs until permanent homes could be found for them. Simple, that was what she had thought. The first day had taught her how wrong she was. Human children did not sit still. They did not follow instructions. They did not sleep when they were supposed to sleep or eat when they were supposed to eat. They ran through corridors at dangerous speeds. They climbed on equipment that was not meant to be climbed. They made noises at volumes that hurt all 4 of Anna's ears. Little Jake was the worst of them. He was 6 years old by human counting, which meant he was barely more than an infant by standards. But he acted like he was the leader of a small army. He had bright red hair that stuck up in all directions and a face covered in small brown spots that humans called freckles. His energy seemed endless. He woke before the artificial sunrise and did not stop moving until he collapsed into sleep many hours later. His sister Lucy was 8 years old. She had the same red hair but kept it tied back in a neat tail. She tried very hard to be responsible. She told the other children to behave. She apologized to Anna for the messes they made. But Lucy was still a child, and she often forgot her own rules. Anna would find her leading the others in forbidden games just as often as she found her scolding them. The twins were named Ben and they were both 7 years old and looked almost exactly alike, with dark hair and dark eyes and serious expressions. They had their own secret language that no one else could understand. They would look at each other and speak in quick whispers, and then they would both laugh or both run or both hide. Anna had given up trying to figure out what they were saying to each other. The smallest was Grace. She was only 5 years old, barely old enough to walk without stumbling. She had yellow hair that curled around her face and eyes that were very large and very blue. Grace did not talk much. She had seen bad things during the evacuation of Earth, things that no child should see. But she followed Jake everywhere he went, holding onto his shirt like a small shadow. Together, the 5 of them were a storm of noise and motion and chaos. Anna had learned to expect the noise. She had learned to listen for it. The sound of running feet meant they were playing chase in the corridors. The sound of arguing meant the twins were fighting with Jake over some game. The sound of crying meant Grace had fallen down again or remembered something sad. Silence meant danger. On this particular day, Anna had left the children in the observation lounge. It was a large room with soft floors and no dangerous equipment. One wall was entirely made of glass, looking out at the stars. The humans loved to watch the stars, even though the sight made them sad. It reminded them of home. Anna had only needed 20 units to get their food. The nutrition center was close by. She would be gone for just a short time. She walked through the metal corridors of the Horizon, her 6 feet making soft sounds on the floor. Other refugees moved past her. Some nodded in greeting. Most did not. Everyone on this ship had lost something. Everyone was too tired for politeness. The nutrition center was busy. Anna had to wait while the food machines prepared the special meals that human children required. Humans needed very specific nutrients. Too much of one thing made them sick. Too little of another made them weak. Feeding them was a science that Anna had spent weeks learning. She gathered the 5 small containers of food and began walking back. Her mind was already planning the rest of the day. After eating, the children would need exercise, then learning time, then quiet time which was never actually quiet, then more food, then the struggle of making them sleep. She was thinking about all of this when she noticed the silence. At first, she did not understand what was wrong. The corridor felt normal. The ship sounds were the same as always. The hum of the engines, the whisper of the air systems, the distant voices of other refugees. But something was missing. She walked faster. Her 4 ears turned in different directions, searching for the sound she expected to hear. Jake yelling, Lucy scolding, the twins whispering, Grace humming the sad little songs she liked to sing. There was nothing. Anna began to run. Her 6 limbs moved in the flowing pattern that her species used for speed. The food containers were gripped tight in her middle arms. Her hearts beat faster and faster. The door to the observation lounge was just ahead. It was closed, which was normal. She had closed it when she left to keep the children inside. She stopped in front of it. She listened with all 4 ears. Silent, complete and total silence. Fear filled her body. Human children were never silent. They could not be silent. Something was terribly wrong. They were hurt. They were sick. They had found a way to escape and were lost somewhere on the ship. They had touched something dangerous. They were dying. 1,000 terrible thoughts rushed through her mind as she pressed her hand to the door panel. The door slid open. Anna stood frozen in the entrance, the food containers nearly falling from her suddenly weak grip. The 5 human cubs sat in a perfect circle in the middle of the room. Their small bodies were completely still. Their eyes were closed. Their hands rested on their knees with the palms facing up toward the ceiling. Their chests rose and fell together, breathing in at the same moment, breathing out at the same moment. They looked like tiny statues carved from flesh. The observation window behind them showed a field of distant stars. The light from those stars fell upon the children in soft blue and white, making them look like they were glowing. Anna could not move. She could not speak. She could only stare at the impossible sight before her. Jake, who never stopped moving, was perfectly still. Lucy, who always had to be talking, made no sound. The twins sat side by side, their secret language silent for the first time. Little Grace, who jumped at every noise, sat with a peace on her small face that Anna had never seen. What had happened to them? What was wrong with them? And why, despite her fear, did Anna feel something strange and warm spreading through both of her hearts? Anna took one careful step into the room, then another. The food containers hung forgotten in her middle arms. All of her attention was on the 5 small figures sitting in their perfect circle. She had seen many strange things in her years of caring for alien young. She had seen children glow with inner light when they were happy. She had seen owl hatchlings change colors in waves that meant feelings too complex for words. She had watched the larvae of the methane world sing songs that made the air itself vibrate. But she had never seen human children do anything like this. Humans were supposed to be simple creatures. That was what everyone in the galaxy believed. They were short-lived beings from a small planet on the edge of nowhere. They had no natural weapons. They had no special abilities. They could not see beyond the normal spectrum of light. They could not hear sounds beyond a narrow range. They had only 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 arms, and 2 legs. The galaxy had watched them with mild interest when they first reached the stars. They were curious, these humans. They built clever machines. They spread quickly to new worlds. They formed alliances with other species. But no one thought they were special. They were just humans, ordinary, limited, fragile. So why were these 5 human cubs doing something that should have been impossible? Anna moved closer. Her sensory tendrils, the thin feelers that grew from her head, began to twitch. They were detecting something in the air around the children. It was not a smell. It was not a sound. It was something else, something her species had evolved to sense but rarely encountered. Energy, mental energy. The children were producing waves of mental energy that flowed outward from their circle like ripples in still water. This could not be real. Humans were not psionic. Every scientific study had confirmed this. Their brains were too small, too simple, too focused on basic survival. They could not project their thoughts. They could not sense the minds of others. They could not do any of the things that true psionic species could do. And yet the evidence was right in front of her. Anna knelt down a few feet from the circle. She studied each child in turn. Their faces were relaxed. Their breathing was slow and deep. Their small bodies showed no signs of stress or pain. Whatever was happening to them, it did not seem to be hurting them. But were they aware? Were they conscious? Or had something taken control of their minds? She reached out with one hand toward Jake, planning to touch his shoulder and shake him gently. Her clawed fingers came within inches of his small body. The energy field around the children pulsed. It was like being struck by a wave of warm water. The sensation washed over Anna from head to foot. For a moment, she felt things she had no words to describe. She felt peace. She felt connection. She felt as if she was not alone, as if she was part of something larger than herself. Then the feeling faded, and Jake opened his eyes. He looked up at her with a calm expression that did not match the wild child she knew. His eyes seemed deeper somehow, as if he was seeing more than just her physical form. "Hi, Anna," he said. His voice was soft and steady. "We were waiting for you." The other children began to open their eyes one by one. Lucy first, then the twins together, then little Grace. They all looked at Anna with that same strange calm. "What were you doing?" Anna asked. Her voice came out as a whisper. "What happened to you?" Lucy shifted her position, stretching her legs out in front of her. "We were meditating," she said, as if this explained everything. "Meditating," Anna repeated the unfamiliar word. "Our mom used to do it," Lucy continued. "Every morning before she went to work, she would sit very still and close her eyes and breathe in a special way. She said it helped her find peace inside herself." Ben spoke up. "After Mom and Dad were gone, we all felt really sad, really scared. The feelings were too big, they hurt." Finished her twins' thought. "Jake said maybe we could try what Mom did. Maybe if we got really quiet, the big feelings would not hurt so much." Anna looked at Jake. The small boy met her gaze with a steadiness that seemed impossible for a 6-year-old. "At first it was hard," Jake said. "We kept wanting to move and talk and think about scary things. But then we held hands and tried together. And something happened." "Something happened," Anna echoed. "What something?" Grace was the one who answered. The smallest child, the one who barely ever spoke, opened her mouth and said words that would change everything. "We found each other," Grace said. "Inside the quiet place we could feel each other. Not with our hands, with something else. And then we could feel more. We could feel the ship. We could feel the stars. We could feel you walking in the corridor carrying our food. You have 2 hearts, did you know that? They were both beating very fast because you were scared." Anna's own heart seemed to stop for a moment. "You could feel me, from here, through the walls." The children nodded together, a movement so perfectly synchronized that it sent a chill down Anna's spine. "We did not mean to scare you," Lucy said. "We just wanted to feel less alone, and it worked. We do not feel alone anymore." Jake stood up from his sitting position. He walked over to Anna and placed his small hand on her arm. The touch was gentle, but it carried something with it, a warmth, a reassurance, a feeling that said everything would be okay. "We like you, Anna," Jake said. "You worry about us all the time. You get tired because we make too much noise, but you never stop trying to help us. We could feel all of that when we were in the quiet place." Anna did not know what to say. In all her years of caring for children of 100 different species, no one had ever looked into her heart like this. No one had ever seen the exhaustion she hid. No one had ever acknowledged the love she tried not to show because professional caretakers were supposed to be distant. These small humans had seen everything. "This is not normal," Anna finally said. "Humans cannot do what you just described. No one in the galaxy believes that humans can do this." Lucy shrugged. "Maybe no one ever asked us to try." It was such a simple answer, such a human answer, and somehow it made more sense than anything else. Anna looked at the 5 children standing before her. They were still the same chaos makers who drove her crazy every day. Jake was already starting to bounce on his feet again, his natural energy returning. The twins were whispering to each other in their secret language. Grace had found a small toy and was playing with it quietly. But they were also something more now, something new, something that the galaxy had never seen before. And Anna had a very important decision to make about what to do next. Anna did not sleep that night. She lay in her small cabin on the horizon, staring at the metal ceiling, thinking about what she had seen. The children were fine. After their meditation, they had eaten their food and returned to their normal behavior. Jake ran around making explosion noises. Lucy tried to organize a game that no one followed the rules to. The twins whispered and laughed. Grace followed Jake like a small shadow. They were the same as before, but everything was different now. Anna had worked with psionic species before. She knew what true mental abilities looked like. The owl could speak directly into your mind, but only with members of their own kind. The ancient masters could sense emotions, but only through their specialized tendrils and only at close range. They could share memories, but they had to be touching and the process took hours. What the human children had done was different. They had connected to each other across space. They had sensed Anna through walls and corridors. They had done it without training, without technology, without even understanding what they were doing. And they had done it together. That was the part that kept Anna awake. The children had achieved something by joining their minds in a circle. Alone, they were just normal human cubs. Together, in that quiet state they called meditation, they became something more. What did this mean? By morning, Anna had made her decision. She had to report this. She had to tell someone. If human children could do this, the Galactic Council needed to know. She contacted Commander Al, the officer in charge of refugee operations on the horizon. He was a serious male with gray-streaked fur and eyes that had seen too many wars. He listened to her report without interrupting. When she finished, there was a long silence. "You are certain of what you saw?" Al finally asked. "Human children do not have psionic abilities. This has been studied extensively." "I am certain," Anna replied. "I felt the energy myself. It was real." Al was quiet again. Then he spoke slowly. "If this is true, it changes everything we know about humans. I will contact the science division. They will want to investigate." 2 days later, the scientists arrived. There were 3 of them. Dr. Al was a specialist in psionic phenomena. He carried equipment that Anna did not recognize, devices with screens and sensors and blinking lights. With him came a Al researcher named Speaks in Colors, whose skin shifted through shades of purple and blue as she examined the observation lounge. The 3rd scientist was a human. His name was Dr. Liam Carter. He was tall and thin, with dark skin and gray hair at his temples. He had been a brain scientist on Earth before the destruction. Now he worked with the Galactic Council, trying to understand why humans were so different from every other species in the galaxy. The children were scared at first. They did not like the strange equipment. They did not like being watched by so many adults. Jake tried to hide behind Anna's legs. Grace started to cry. But Dr. Carter knew how to talk to children. He sat down on the floor so he was at their level. He smiled warmly. He spoke in soft, gentle words. "I heard you did something amazing," he said. "Would you show me? I promise nothing bad will happen. I just want to understand." Jake looked at him with suspicious eyes. "You are human," he said, "like us." "Yes, I am." "Do you know how to find the quiet place?" Dr. Carter's smile became sad. "I used to. When I was young, my grandmother taught me to meditate, but I have not done it in many years. I forgot how." Jake studied him for a long moment. Then the small boy nodded. "Okay, we will show you, but you have to be very quiet too." The scientists set up their equipment around the observation lounge. Dr. Al positioned sensors in a circle around where the children would sit. Speaks in colors darkened her skin to a calm gray to avoid distracting them. Dr. Carter sat in a chair nearby, watching with intense focus. Anna stood by the door, her hearts beating fast. The 5 children sat down in their circle. They held hands. They closed their eyes. For a moment, nothing happened. The machines showed normal readings. The air felt unchanged. Anna began to worry that it had all been her imagination, that the children were just playing a game she had misunderstood. Then Jake spoke, his voice soft and distant. "Breathe with us," he said. The other children began to breathe in unison. In together, out together, in together, out together. The machine started beeping. Dr. Al stared at his screens with wide eyes. "This is impossible," he whispered. "They are generating coherent psionic waves, all 5 of them, in perfect synchronization." The energy began to fill the room. Anna felt it wash over her just as it had before. The warm wave of connection, the sense of not being alone. Speaks in Colors made a sound of surprise. Her skin exploded with colors, shifting rapidly through the entire spectrum. "I can feel them," she said in a voice filled with wonder. "They are reaching out to me, to all of us. It is like nothing I have ever experienced." Dr. Carter had tears running down his face. He did not seem to notice. He was staring at the children with an expression of pure amazement. "My grandmother," he said quietly. "I can feel her, not her ghost, not her memory, but the love she had for me. It is still here. It has always been here." The children opened their eyes. The energy faded but slowly, like sunlight dimming into twilight. Jake looked at Dr. Carter with a gentle smile. "The quiet place is not empty," the small boy said. "It is full of everything that matters. You just have to remember how to listen." Dr. Al was reviewing his data with shaking hands. "This will change everything," he said. "The implications are enormous. We need to study this further. We need to test more humans. We need to understand how this works." But Dr. Carter was not listening to his colleague. He was looking at the children with new eyes. "We never knew," he said, half to himself. "All those thousands of years of human history, and we never understood what we were doing when we meditated. We thought it was just a mental exercise, a way to relax. We had no idea we were actually doing something real." Anna stepped forward. "What does this mean?" she asked. "For the humans, for everyone." Dr. Carter turned to face her. The tears were still wet on his cheeks, but he was smiling. "It means humans are not what the galaxy thought we were," he said. "We are not simple. We are not limited. We are not ordinary. We have had this ability inside us all along. We just forgot how to use it." He looked back at the children, who were now starting to play again, their moment of stillness giving way to their natural energy. "These children remembered," Dr. Carter continued. "They found their way back to something ancient, something powerful, and now that we know it is real, maybe the rest of us can remember too." Anna watched the children run and laugh and make noise. They seemed so normal, so young, so unaware of how important they were. But the galaxy was about to learn what 5 human cubs had discovered in their quiet moment together. Everything was about to change. The news spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. Within a week, every major species had heard the story. 5 human children on a refugee ship had demonstrated psionic abilities that no one knew humans possessed. The data was clear. The evidence was real. Humans were not the simple, ordinary creatures everyone had believed them to be. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. Representatives from 100 worlds gathered to discuss what this discovery meant. Some were excited, some were scared, some refused to believe it at all. Anna watched it all from the horizon, trying to keep her 5 cubs safe from the storm of attention that now surrounded them. Scientists wanted to study them. Reporters wanted to interview them. Politicians wanted to use them as symbols. Religious leaders from a dozen species declared them either blessed or cursed depending on their beliefs. The children did not understand why everyone was so interested in them. They were just kids who had sat together and breathed together and felt something nice. Why was that such a big deal? Dr. Carter tried to explain it to them one afternoon, sitting in the observation lounge where it all began. What you did is something that people have been trying to understand for a very long time, he said. On Earth, humans meditated for thousands of years. It was part of our oldest traditions. Monks in mountains, teachers in temples, ordinary people in their homes. They all practiced this thing, this quieting of the mind. Jake listened with his head tilted to one side. But if everyone did it, why is it special now? Because we never knew it was doing anything real, Dr. Carter replied. We thought meditation was just a way to feel calm, a trick of the brain. We did not have machines that could measure what was really happening. And by the time we built such machines, most people had stopped meditating. We were too busy with screens and work and the constant noise of modern life. Lucy nodded seriously. Mom said the world was too loud. That is why she needed her quiet time. Your mother was wise, Dr. Carter said. She knew what many people had forgotten. The quiet is important, the stillness matters, and now we know why. Over the following weeks, more tests were conducted. Scientists came from all across the galaxy to study the phenomenon. They brought better equipment. They asked more questions. They wrote long reports filled with words that Anna did not understand. But the basic findings were clear. Human brains were different, not broken, not limited, different. They had a part that no other species possessed, a small cluster of cells deep in the center that could generate and receive a unique type of energy. Scientists called it the neural resonance center. Humans called it the soul. Everyone had it. Every human who had ever lived had this ability hidden inside them. But modern humans had forgotten how to use it. They filled their lives with noise and distraction. They never sat still. They never breathed together. They never reached for the quiet place. The children were different because they were still young. Their minds were still open. They had not learned to ignore the voice inside them that whispered about something more. And they had each other. That was the key discovery. One human meditating alone produced only a small amount of resonance energy. But when humans meditated together, the effect, 5 children together produced more energy than 500 adults alone. The connection between minds made everyone stronger. Dr. Al called it harmonic amplification. The children called it finding friends in the quiet place. The implications were enormous. If humans could be trained to use this ability, they would become one of the most psionic species in the galaxy. Not the most powerful individually. A trained owl could still outperform a single human. But humans together, working in harmony, could potentially surpass anything the galaxy had ever seen. Some species found this threatening. The owl, who had always been proud of their mental abilities, worried that humans would replace them. The crystal beings of the system worried that humans would try to impose their thoughts on others. Several worlds called for restrictions on human meditation, demanding that it be classified as a dangerous activity. But most species were simply amazed. Humans had been nearly destroyed. There was gone. Millions of them were scattered across the galaxy as refugees, homeless and hopeless. Everyone had expected them to fade away, to become just another fallen species in the long history of the cosmos. Instead, they had discovered something inside themselves that changed everything. On the horizon, Anna watched as the human refugees began to change. Dr. Carter had started teaching meditation to the adults. At first, most of them were skeptical. They had busy lives. They had real problems. They did not have time to sit still and breathe. But the children convinced them. Jake would grab adults by the hand and drag them to the observation lounge. Lucy would explain the process in her serious, responsible voice. The twins would demonstrate how to breathe together. Grace would sit beside nervous adults and hold their hands until they felt calm. Slowly, the meditation circles grew larger. 10 people, then 20, then 50. The observation lounge became too small, so they moved to the cargo bay. The cargo bay filled up, so they started using the main corridor. Every evening, hundreds of humans would sit together in circles, close their eyes, and find the quiet place. The energy they produced was strong enough that even non-psionic species could feel it. Anna felt it every night, a warm wave of peace that spread through the ship. The other refugees, the aliens from 100 different worlds, began to notice it too. The horizon changed. People who had been angry became calm. People who had been sad found hope. People who had been fighting started talking instead. The energy that the humans produced was not forcing anyone to feel anything. It was simply there, like sunlight on a cold day, available to anyone who wanted to feel its warmth. Commander Al called Anna to his office one evening. "You started this," he said. His serious face showed something that might have been a smile. "You found them in their circle that first day. You reported what you saw instead of ignoring it. Because of you, everything is different now." Anna did not know what to say. She had just been doing her job. "The Galactic Council is sending a message to all refugee ships," Al continued. "They are asking humans to teach meditation to their own kind. They believe it could help heal the trauma of losing Earth. They believe it could help humans build a new future." He paused, looking at Anna with his ancient, tired eyes. "They are also asking for volunteers to assist. We can sense the energy, even if we cannot produce it ourselves. We can help guide the humans, help them understand what they are capable of." "You want me to continue working with the children?" Anna asked. "I want you to do more than that," Al replied. "I want you to help them teach others. Those 5 cubs showed the galaxy something incredible, but they are just children. They need guidance. They need someone to help them understand the importance of what they have found." Anna thought about Jake, who was probably running through corridors at this very moment. She thought about Lucy, who tried so hard to be grown up. She thought about the twins and their secret language. She thought about little Grace, who had barely spoken before the meditation and now smiled every day. They were just children, her children in a way, the cubs she had been assigned to care for. And now they were going to help change the galaxy. "I will do it," Anna said. "I will help them however I can." Al nodded. "I knew you would." 1 year had passed since Anna first found the children sitting in their silent circle. Everything was different now. The horizon was no longer just a refugee ship. It had become a school, a temple, a beacon of hope for humans scattered across the galaxy. Every day, new shuttles arrived carrying people who wanted to learn. They came from mining colonies and space stations, from alien worlds where they had found shelter, and from ships where they had been drifting without purpose. They came to find the quiet place. Anna stood at the back of the cargo bay, watching as nearly 1,000 humans sat in circles throughout the massive space. Their eyes were closed. Their breathing was synchronized. The energy they produced was so strong that it made her tendrils tingle. In the center of all those circles sat 5 children. Jake was 7 now. He had grown taller, but his red hair still stuck up in all directions and his face still had those brown spots. He was not the wild chaos maker he had once been. He could be calm when he needed to be. But he could also still run through corridors making explosion noises, because he was still just a child and children needed to play. Lucy was 9, very nearly 10. She had become a teacher herself, showing adults how to breathe and how to quiet their thoughts. She was still serious and responsible, but she smiled more now. She had learned that being a leader did not mean being perfect. It meant helping others find their own way. The twins, Ben and Ann, were 8. They still had their secret language, but now they shared it with others. They had discovered that their twin connection was not unique. All humans could learn to speak without words, to share thoughts and feelings in the quiet place. The twins helped people understand that this was not scary. It was beautiful. Grace was 6, the age Jake had been when it all began. She was not silent anymore. She talked and laughed and sang songs that made people smile. She had healed from the terrible things she had seen during the evacuation of Earth. She had healed because she was not alone. She had her circle. She had her family. She had a galaxy full of people who loved her. Dr. Carter stood beside Anna, watching the meditation session with wonder in his eyes. 1 year, he said quietly. 1 year ago I had forgotten how to find the quiet place. Now look at us. Anna looked. She saw humans of every age sitting in peace. She saw guides standing among them, their tendrils sensing the energy and helping to direct it. She saw representatives from other species observing, learning, trying to understand. Your people have changed so much, she said. We remembered who we are, Dr. Carter replied. That is all. We did not become something new. We became something old, something ancient, something we had lost and needed to find again. The meditation session ended. The energy slowly faded. People opened their eyes and stretched and smiled at each other. There was always a moment of warmth after meditation, a feeling of connection that lasted even after the quiet place was left behind. Jake came running over to Anna and Dr. Carter. He was bouncing on his feet. His natural energy returned now that the stillness was done. Did you feel it? He asked excitedly. It was the biggest one yet. 1,000 people all together. I could feel everyone. I felt it, Anna said. It was very strong. Commander Al says we might be able to do a session with all the ships soon, Jake continued, the words tumbling out of him. All the refugee ships at the same time. Thousands and thousands of people all finding the quiet place together. Can you imagine what that will feel like? Anna could not imagine. The energy from 1,000 people was already almost overwhelming. The energy from tens of thousands was beyond her ability to predict. Will it be safe? She asked. Jake tilted his head, considering the question seriously despite his young age. The quiet place is never dangerous, he said. It is where the love is. How can love be dangerous? It was such a simple answer, such a human answer. Anna had learned that humans often saw things in ways that other species did not. They found simple truths that complicated minds missed. That evening, Anna went to the observation lounge. It was empty now, the meditation sessions having moved to larger spaces. But this was still a special place. This was where it all began. She stood by the window looking out at the stars. The fleet of refugee ships was visible in the distance, hundreds of vessels carrying the survivors of Earth to an uncertain future. They had lost everything. Their planet, their homes, their families. Many of them had lost hope. But they had found something too. Jake appeared beside her. He did not make noise when he walked anymore. He had learned to move quietly when he wanted to. Are you sad? He asked. Anna considered the question. No, she said after a moment. I was thinking about how much has changed. Change can be scary, Jake said. He pressed his small hand against the window, looking out at the stars. When Earth was destroyed, I was so scared. Everything was gone. Mom and Dad were gone. I thought nothing would ever be okay again. But you found the quiet place, Anna said. I found more than that, Jake replied. I found out that Mom and Dad are not really gone. Nothing is ever really gone. Everything that matters stays in the quiet place forever. You just have to know how to look. Anna felt her heart's ache. She had lost people too long ago before she became a caretaker. She had thought that loss was the end. She had thought that the gone were simply gone. "Will you show me," she asked quietly, "how to look?" Jake turned to face her. His eyes were the eyes of a child, but they held something ancient inside them, something that humans had carried for thousands of years without knowing. "You cannot meditate like we do," he said gently. "Your brain is different, but you can sit with us. You can feel what we feel. And if you let yourself, you can find your own quiet place. It might not look the same as ours, but it will be yours." He took her clawed hand in his small human one. "Come on," he said. "The others are waiting. We were going to have a small session, just the five of us and you, like the first time. Lucy said we should remember where we started." Anna let the small boy lead her through the corridors of the horizon. They passed humans and aliens, all of them nodding or smiling as the child and his guardian went by. Everyone on this ship knew the story now. Everyone knew about the day when 5 cubs went quiet and changed the galaxy. In the observation lounge, the other 4 children were already sitting in their circle. Lucy smiled when she saw Anna. The twins waved. Grace patted the floor beside her, inviting Anna to join them. Anna settled her 6-limbed body into the space they had made for her. She felt strange sitting in their circle. She was not human. She could not do what they did. But she was family. The children closed their eyes. They joined hands, and Jake took one of Anna's hands while Grace took another. They began to breathe together. And Anna, for the first time in her long life, felt what it was like to not be alone. She felt the children around her. She felt the ship around them. She felt the fleet, the stars, the endless universe stretching out in all directions. She felt the humans who had died and the humans who still lived. She felt love and loss and hope and fear, all of it swirling together in a great ocean of experience. And somewhere in that ocean, she felt herself. Not Anna the caretaker, not Anna just Anna, a being of 2 hearts who had spent her whole life caring for others, a person who had found her own quiet place at last. When the meditation ended, she was crying. Did not often cry, but she was crying now, tears running down her face and dripping onto the floor. Jake squeezed her hand. "Now you know," he said softly. "Yes," Anna replied, "now I know." Outside the window, the stars burned with ancient light. Somewhere out there, new worlds waited for the human refugees. New challenges, new dangers, new chances to grow. But whatever came next, they would face it together. Humans and all the other species who wanted to find their own quiet places. They would breathe together. They would be still together. They would find the love that waited in the silence. Because 5 human children had remembered something that the galaxy had forgotten. And they had been kind enough to share it with everyone else. The end.